to you today about something that I am quite passionate about: breastfeeding in public. Now, it's come up quite a bit in the news and on social media platforms recently. So for that reason, I want to speak about it, because I think although it should be something that doesn't need to be spoken about, but unfortunately, because breastfeeding isn't the norm, even though it is normal, we need to, I suppose, speak about it and do it. The reason it's come up recently is because of a Dove baby products campaign, and they decided to bring it into their campaign. I'm not exactly sure why, maybe so we'd all start talking about it and it would get publicity, even though in my opinion their campaign was really unnecessary and nothing to do with the products that they sell. So I was quite shocked and really annoyed by it, and this might come across in this vlog. Sorry if I seem kind of ranty and annoyed, but I believe that breastfeeding in public is normal and it isn't an issue, or shouldn't be an issue, but unfortunately it is, and I think it's because we lack confidence to just feed our babies whenever they need to be fed, or whenever they need to be comforted, or need to be mothered at the breast. And I think that's a kind of a reflection of society and how we feel about breastfeeding and breasts in general. So there's a lot of double standards going on, because breasts are used to sell almost everything under the sun. But suddenly when it comes to actually what they're supposed to be for, which is feeding a baby, it's like something that we need to debate, which is actually ridiculous. And then there's something else that we need to keep in mind while this is being discussed, is that in Ireland we are protected under the Equal Status Act, which was passed in the year 2000, and it makes discriminating breastfeeding mothers illegal. So you're completely protected by the law if you decide to breastfeed your baby anywhere at all. And I suppose that's good to keep in mind, because it means that we shouldn't feel uncomfortable or like we're doing something that's not normal, because in fact we're doing something that is very, very normal. We're meeting our baby's needs. In my opinion, it's the most basic human need, is to feed a baby. So it kind of makes me quite annoyed that it's being debated at all. But because it is being debated, I wanted to say that I feel that if you're breastfeeding your baby, or if you're pregnant and hoping and planning to breastfeed, that doing so in public is very important, because the more that people see that it's normal and that it's not kind of, you don't have to actually show any skin at all, even because your baby is in front of your breast. Personally, I have breastfed everywhere and anywhere, on public transport, on airplanes, at swimming pools, parks, shops, you name it. I even breastfed my 2-year-old at my own wedding, and obviously no one batted an eyelid, because I actually recently breastfed my son at my doctor's, and I actually don't even think she noticed. I was chatting to her and he just looked to feed, and he latched on while we were chatting. I was continuing the conversation and she didn't even notice. And that's how it should be. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's actually quite normal. It's very normal. It's like ridiculously normal, and so that's why I'm actually annoyed that I have to even speak about it. But I do, because if we don't realize that breastfeeding in public is something that we should do and we're protected to do, and it's completely legal, and it's illegal to be discriminated against or to be thrown out or even to be spoken about because of it, unless someone is maybe offering you a glass of water or making you more comfortable because they know that you're breastfeeding, then they have absolutely no right to comment or anything else. I think we need to start thinking about breastfeeding as just a kind of a stage of our reproductive cycle. So we have conception, pregnancy, birth, and breastfeeding, and it's just part of that cycle. And our body thinks of it like that because it produces milk without us having to do anything. And that's the hormones that help to do that. So you have hormones that help in conception, in implantation, in growing the placenta, growing the baby, in birth, and the hormones that help to lactate. So it's a very normal cycle. And then when you think about a baby, how they are when they're born, they're actually hardwired to breastfeed. So if you run your tongue on the roof on your palate, you'll feel like little ridges, and they are to help you latch on when you're breastfeeding. So that's what a baby has, those ridges, and we have throughout our lives. And then other little things like a woman's breast or a woman's areola, which is the area around the nipple, darkens during pregnancy, and that's so when the baby is born, it can notice the difference between the color of the skin and then the areola, so it knows where to latch on. Another thing is that your breasts actually are really, really warm after birth. They're warm because that's where your baby should be. That's the natural environment for a baby once it's born, is to be on its mother's breast. And not just to feed or nutritional aspect of getting colostrum and then milk, but because it'll help to regulate your baby's temperature, your baby's heartbeat. It helps them to feel secure. They know their mother, they've been in their mother for the past 9 months, so being on their mother in a new world is really important. It's the best place for them to be. And also the first bacteria that the baby will get after the vaginal bacteria is on the mother and on her breast. So that's really important. The baby gets that. It's kind of skin to skin. That's what we call skin to skin. Thinking about, the pregnancy, breastfeeding as a natural cycle, and then understanding the physical aspects of the importance and the normality of breastfeeding helps us to understand why then it's important to society. It's kind of a funny one, because if we were confident enough to just breastfeed wherever we want, this wouldn't be an issue. Why is it an issue in Western society? In my opinion, it's an issue because advertisers of products choose areas to kind of, I suppose, peck away at our weaknesses. And you can see it in like a lot of beauty products. Like they want you to feel ugly, so you buy products to make you look more beautiful in their eyes of what beauty is, or to make you look skinnier, or whatever the fashion is at that particular time. And when they're looking to sell products to parents or specifically mothers, they nitpick at, I suppose, the confidence of how you're going to be perceived in public by others. And a really good way of doing that is to, I suppose, send out subtle messages that breastfeeding is somehow not in public, is somehow not normal or not acceptable, and that, just maybe a bottle will be easier or something, along those lines. And I believe that companies have done a really good job at doing that, at pecking at our vulnerabilities when it comes to confidence in our body and the functions of our body and what it is our bodies are capable of doing. And in doing so, they kind of carve out a need within us to buy products because we feel like our bodies are incapable of doing what they are naturally, I suppose, born to do. I just believe that advertisers have chosen this market because it's huge. People are always reproducing. It's kind of what we do as a species. And I find it really annoying and undermining and quite shocking that in this day and age, this is the tactics that are still being used and they're working. I think the one thing that we can do as women and as mothers is to breastfeed your baby wherever he or she needs you to breastfeed, to not make a big deal about it, because it isn't a big deal. You're just meeting your baby's needs. And I suppose to not feel that you can't do that. Number one, you're protected by law. And number two, by doing so, you don't know who is going to be influenced and might just realize, okay, oh, look, there's a mom feeding her baby, and it might subconsciously register to a teenager or someone who's in their early 20s, or to just see that is really positive. And I think we can make a positive impact by just breastfeeding our babies in public. So that's all we need to do. I was at a really interesting talk by Nancy Moorbacher, who's a lactation consultant in Chicago last year, and she said that the one thing that we can do that will raise the breastfeeding rates or help to influence and encourage other mothers is to just breastfeed your baby. You don't have to make a big deal about it, and why would you? Like, it's the most normal thing in the world, and that's all you need to do, and that will influence other people, and it will inspire them and hopefully encourage them as well. So that's all you need to do, to go out and be confident that your body was built to do this, and that there are supports out there if you need to find them. Just find the right supports. There are voluntary breastfeeding groups that are more than happy to help mums who want to breastfeed, and that you are protected under law. In Ireland anyway, I think in the UK as well, and in many countries there are laws that protect mums who breastfeed their babies. And I suppose to have the confidence to do that, and to not let these campaigns get in the way of that, because that's all they want to do, is to cause rifts, and they want to undermine your confidence, and really that's just really horrible. So go forth and breastfeed with confidence. You are legally entitled to, and your baby needs you to, and society needs you to. Thank you.